Hey guys, how's it going? Matt here with another episode as I build out my van. This is an interesting series as I bring my van from a normal old cargo van to a van that I want to take around the world, and I'm trying to document step by step what I do in order to change it into a mobile studio, a mobile podcasting platform, a home, transportation, all of the above. Today's episode is going to be about upholstering panels, specifically Adventure Wagon Panels. I'm wearing their hat. I've added the hat to my collection, actually. I have purchased their package for the Ford Transit XLT, but I've done it in a bit of a unique way. Normally, the panels that you see out here come upholstered. They have some sort of marathon tweed on the front, some sort of Reflectix on the back. They come to you in this way, and you just kind of throw them up in the van. It's one of the advantages to getting a prefab kit by Adventure Wagon is that that box is already checked. But one thing that I want to do is I want to sort of get into the meat of things. I want to start doing these parts of the build myself, and I want to do panel these and upholster these with something a little bit unique. And so they have given me a bare bones set of panels. It's just the wood and plastic preformed panels, and they're like, you can upholster them yourself. It's up to you. Now, I've reached out to a company called PerfectFIT for the upholstery because I wanted to actually put something a little bit unique in the form of a material. Typically, there's a company called Marathon, and they produce a series of different types of tweed materials, like the most common material that people put on the inside of their vans. What I ended up choosing is this. This is a material that is of a color called Storm, and it's produced by a company called Nassimi, and it's sort of like tweed, but if you look at it, it has a lot of different textures in it. It's got some whites, it's got some blacks, and it also has a little bit of brown, so it can match up with that, but it can also match up with more earthy colors. This is the material that we are going to use to coat most of the panels that are laid out here. We're going to use a product called F50 from Tensor Grip to adhese the material to the panels, and we're going to do basically all these. I went through a lot of different ideas for design. I wanted to maybe do multi-colors, you know, different sorts of colored tweeds. We're just going to do two different sorts of textures. For everything around these two big squares here and here, we're going to do the Storm from Nassimi. For these panels here and here, we're actually going to use a material called Lone Strand. We're going to use this. This is a product texture called Spanish Chestnut, and it is a Lone Strand top seal. And this is from a company called Lone Seal, and it's very, very durable. It's going to be my floor in the van. And so I thought if I had a substance on the floor and then I duplicated that pattern on the center portion of the ceiling, that could be pretty cool. So that is going to be the texture for just these two panels. But everything else is going to be the Nassimi. On the back of every panel, I'm going to have Reflectix. This material will reflect heat away from the van and also keep heat in the van if that's what your objective is. It's sort of like a thermal barrier. And so we're gonna stick that to the back of every panel, which will add to my already heavily insulated van because we've got Havelock wool, and then we've got a product called Lizard Skin that was sprayed on the internal surfaces of the van. We've got all sorts of sound deadeners and all sorts of thermal barriers in there. You can check out my other episodes to see that. I have never done this sort of upholstery. Actually, when I was younger, I worked for a boat top company, and we did boat upholstery. And most of that was sewn by somebody else, and then I would use a staple gun to actually wrap around vinyl seats and things like this. So I never really dealt with a lot of adhesive. So PerfectFIT has counseled me on what adhesive to use, and then Adventure Wagon has kind of counseled me on how to upholster the specific panels. This will be my first time, so I hope that I do a good job. I hope things go well. There's a process to it, and we'll go over that a little bit later. Before I get started, one of the cool things about Adventure Wagon is that all of these panels are pre-cut by a CNC machine, so they're cut specifically to fit the A-frame that's inside the van. So in a previous video you saw the A-frame get put inside the van. You can see all of the orange in there is the A-frame. So every single one of those squares will house a panel, the ceiling included. So you can see here that this center portion, this row, and this row are for the ceiling. Everything on this side is the driver's side. Everything on that side is a passenger. For the shapes that are a little bit too crazy, for example, this area up in the corner where the front of the van and the back of the van sort of merge, you have very complex shapes. And so those are formed out of a plastic material, which will be coated with whatever fabric you want as well. So we've got a whole bunch of pieces. This is right behind the headliner. These are a lot of pieces that are around the door area, and so all of those will have to get coated today. It's kind of a bit of a process, and no time like the present to break into it. We are going to set up a little bit of a shop in the forward shop here, and I'm going to bring over a table from the wood shop or the metal shop, and we'll get a working space that we can sort of go through and start cutting things to shape and installing them on the panels. I'm excited, but I'm also pretty nervous. Can you tell I'm a little nervous? I don't want to make mistakes. I hate making mistakes. Okay, before I get too far into the process, I decided to take one of the panels that's going to be sort of unseen, like behind some cabinets, and I upholstered it first. So this is the first upholstered panel. What do you think? Actually, if I'm going to do videos, it's actually not a bad texture to have as the background. A couple of things I learned is that the material has a very specific grain, and you can see that it's not exactly perfect from left to right. So I'm going to have to make sure on the future panels that I get that better. You can see it sort of slants off, but I did do the Reflectix on the back, and it's on there very nicely. I didn't want to show you guys this one because I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing, and I made some mistakes, and so I'm going to show you now how to do the rest of them. First things first though, I want to cut all of the Reflectix to match the backing of all of these panels. So I'm going to go through, bring them on the table, and rapid fire cut the material and the Reflectix in order to match up with each panel. I've taken a bench and I've actually set it up for the job specifically because I have so many panels. So first off, I have a roll of Reflectix that I'll be able to pull onto the table and cut it. Material here, so all I have to do is pull it out, and I have that. And then I took the table and I put a bunch of these like 1/8" shitty boards up there, so that I can just cut into it without having to worry about it. We have a whole bunch of like scrap material, so I'll probably just, if I wear through this one, I'll just get some new ones. I have a trowel, but I don't know if I'll need to use it actually. The people at Adventure Wagon say they do it by hand, but just in case I need something to pull, I also have some smaller tools. I have a bunch of razor blades. We're gonna really run through those, I'm sure. But before we get too sticky into the sticky stuff, I'm gonna start working on all of the Reflectix and see if I can cut all the Reflectix to size, because that's gonna have to happen on every panel. So I'm gonna load up the panels on the other side here and then bring them over and just start running through them one step at a time. Let's go. So I'm cutting right alongside to the edge, just like that. And this is the front, and so this is the back where the Reflectix is going to be. And the panel is TXC19, so I'm going to write TXC19 on the Reflectix just to make sure I have everything right. And then move on to the next one. For this panel, which is the door panel that's going to go on the sliding door, I actually cut a little extra off of the edge all the way around, because this panel is going to sit and it's going to be freestanding. It's not going to have an edge of L-track to keep it looking nice. So yeah, just to let you know, because I don't want to have that foil coming out of the edge of it. So this will actually be a little bit inside. Actually, I could show you. This will be inside, just a little bit, just like that. About a ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch around the whole side. This roller worked out really, really good. And I'm already through cutting the shapes for the flat pieces. The plastic anamorphic, like really organic shape stuff, we're gonna wait on those, and we'll do the backing material, the Reflectix later. And there's a whole bunch of pieces that we're not going to do right now, because that's where the windows are going to be. That's where I might want to bump in areas, and I don't want to like upholster them and then find out that we didn't even need to upholster them in the first place because we're going to cut them up. So I've got a pile of parts that we can do, and so we're going to start putting material over them. I think it's good to do the flat pieces first and get used to it, and then start doing more of the like anamorphic, is that a word? Anyways, the more organic shape stuff later. I'm really liking my my Adventure Wagon hat. This thing's very, very nice. We're gonna start with the stuff that isn't seen very much, like the over the wheel well area. Over the wheel well is probably gonna be behind cabinets or shelving, so I don't really need to worry about it being seen, but I would like it upholstered just for look's sake. So this is one piece, and this is the side that's going to be seen. We'll take the Reflectix and move it off to the side for now, because that's going to go on last. Let's go. I guess we could start by spraying the panel. Alright, so this is the panel sprayed. Move it to the side. Now spray the fabric. Okay, moment of truth. The trick for this material, I think, is to keep it. You want to make sure that it's even all the way around. we'll see when I flip this thing over. That's the moment of truth. If my lines are all straight. All right, guys, moment of truth. Now I flip it over and make sure that my lines are straight. And it doesn't look like crap. A little dirty. Do the lines look straight across all the way? Or are they leaning one way or the other?
They look pretty good, man.
Okay, that's my first panel. A 1 to 10. I think it's a 7. Not super happy, satisfied, but like I said, the reason I did this one first is because no one's really going to see it. But we can put it in the van, take a look at how it looks. How about that? So this one will go here like that. Cool. I do like that color though. That's very nice. So a couple of things that happened just now. First, I took that first piece that just happened to go over the wheel well and I laid it up in the back of the van so I could take a look at what it looked like. And so I put it in there, looked at the color, looked at the consistency, looked at my lines. Well, I'm pretty happy. But then I took the L-track, which is going to separate each panel along, they call it A-frame from Adventure Wagon, and I put it up to the wall like it's going to divide the panels. And something I learned was that these panels were designed for a van without a floor. If you look at this floor, it's over an inch thick. Like there's an inch of my hydronic floor, and then there's a 1/4 inch piece of Baltic birch over it. And these panels were not designed for it, so I had to rip this down by 1.25 inches. Coincidentally, when I did it, I tried to rip the board, and what I did is I peeled back the Reflectix as much as I could, and I peeled back the material before the adhesive dried completely, and I tried to run it through the saw. Can any of you guess what happened? I broke the saw. I triggered the saw's detector for detecting skin. I forget the name of it, but it has this device on it that if a finger gets near it, it'll basically it breaks the saw. And so I had to get another chop saw to finish the job. And so we finished the job now, and now I'm going to have to use that other chop saw to cut all of the pieces that are along the floor down. So note to anybody doing an Adventure Wagon kit that has already installed a floor, you're going to have to make up the distance of that floor in the panels that are alongside the bottom edge of that. And it's about 1.5 inches. Lesson learned. So this was the original saw, and I basically broke out. It's basically a cartridge. It looks similar to this. This is for a dado though. And so the blade just sort of clunk and grabs onto it. So now I'm using this temporary saw here. Bummer. Tomorrow I'm going to have to buy a replacement saw stop. Okay, so I trimmed down all of the panels that are going to be along the floor, and I've actually finished 4 pieces that are ready to go. I have a little piece of scrap here, and so I'm going to wrap this. Now, I think I mentioned it before, but this material is directional, so I can't alternate its direction, go up and down, side to side. It has to be side to side. So I'm going to wrap my first plastic piece. I don't know if I'm overusing the adhesive or if maybe I just don't have enough, but I'm using adhesive a lot quicker than I thought I would. I've gone through a bottle already, only 4 panels down. I'm glad I'm not doing the windows and stuff, because if I was doing those window panels, I'd use a lot more. Yeah. right, it is 11:30 p.m. It's getting late, but I'm not giving up. I'm gonna go until I run out of adhesive. I'm really glad I bought 2 extra cans of adhesive today. When I left PerfectFIT, they gave me 2, but I bought 2 extra. I am one of those guys that always thinks I'm gonna finish a lot more than I end up before my energy just dies down to 0. Anyways, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna take the van home tonight as opposed to riding the trike. I don't know if you guys remember this, or have watched the other video, but somebody slashed both of my tires, and recently they busted out my rear window. They just threw something through my rear window. So I have been going to and from the shop with my trike because I just don't want to park my van out in the area where it's gotten vandalized. But it's almost midnight. I think if I take it home, I can sleep and get up early, and then I've got another long day to finish up this project. Now that everybody's left the shop, the music, we were listening to the Grateful Dead, that's all turned off. Everybody's left, so I can talk to you guys. Working on this rig here, it's pretty cool. Let me show it to you. Yeah, this is a big old pickup truck with it's called Globe Trekker is the company. It's a big box, and actually a lot of the things that are going in that box are also going in my van. So I've been watching the progress of that beast, and I've been like, oh, that's how that goes, that's how that goes, and I've sort of been taking notes. Anyways, back to work. Let's go. Let's finish up what we can. Come back tomorrow. This stuff is so sticky. It's really a mess. It's okay, it's not so bad. After it dries, it sort of works itself off your fingers. I'm trying to use as much as I think is needed in order to get the job done and not overuse it. And I'm sort of like, I certainly don't want to underuse it, that's for sure. But if you overuse it, it'll actually come through the material and you'll see it. It's gross, but anyways.
Well, you need me from them today?
You're good to go, man.
Cool.
I'm all set.
You cool rocking up everywhere?
Yeah, I've done it before.
Cool. Figured so.
Yep. This works pretty good to, I don't know, tamp down the backside. This is kind of how it looks when it's finished. It's a little bit dusty, so I'm curious how it'll clean up. It honestly, it's a little bit messy, but I hope a vacuum cleaner will go ahead and clean it up. But you know, some of these pieces have cutouts. I think I've done a pretty good job of reflecting the back and doing a pretty good job on the edges. It's a nice material, actually, as long as I can clean it pretty good. I mean, the way that it has this color to it, it's going to look really nice when the cabinets are going to be like solid colors. So the solid colors against this will look pretty nice. There'll be some whites and there'll be some blacks, and it'll look pretty cool. All right, guys, it is 12:30 in the morning, and I think we finished about as much as we can. I think there's no other way. We've ran out of all of the adhesive, so all 4 of these bottles are now done, dunzos. So I'm gonna wrap up, clean up my little upholstery station, and then we'll finish up tomorrow. We have a bunch of things to do tomorrow with regards to the shop. I'm helping move some things, but I think we can probably wrap up this project. If you guys don't know, I'm going to Detroit, then Malaysia, then the Czech Republic, and cycling around Austria and Europe, and so we're leaving this project in the hands of the people here at Just Roaming Design. So they are going to have to meet with me, and I think we're going to have to discuss sort of the bits and bobs of how this project can progress while I'm gone. I kind of wanted to videotape the whole progress, but I think right now I think it's more important that we move forward and finish this van as quick as possible. So there's a lot of design work and things that can be done without me while I'm gone, and so we're going to discuss that. But anyways, let me catch up with you guys tomorrow, and I'll finish upholstering the plastic panels. I'm going to have to go back and get some more of that adhesive spray. Every time I turn my head away from the camera, I think I go out of focus because it doesn't see my eyes. Anyways, so, but we had a pretty productive day, I think. So we'll come back and we'll keep going.